Let's stay with this angle where you're playing on the neck side of the pick. If you're playing a great blues line, now that's pretty trashy. I can play it. It's a whole different vibe. Practice playing some blues move, play it sweet, then play it really trashy. Now, part of the trash sound is you kind of throw your hand in. Can you see how I'm turning? If you just pull your arm out away from the guitar, rotate your hand so that your palm is facing you more, and then throw the pick into the string. Obviously, that's not going to work for high-speed licks, but... Okay, now if I've been... This is one of the most overlooked subjects for beginning blues players. They get real concerned about, well, what notes do I play and how do I navigate through the changes and all this stuff. If you listen to some of the great blues players, they have a pretty limited vocabulary. They might just play in the blues scale, but what they're saying, they're talking with a couple of notes. The dynamics of the right hand are one of the critical things. And don't forget that when you pick harder, you're actually going to squeeze a little harder. There's just an intrinsic balance of your hands. And getting in touch with that is important. Now you can also play with your fingers, pop with your thumb. That's a real big thing in blues. You want to practice playing with the flesh and the nails, and you have even more shadings available. All right, now the other hand position, or pick angle actually, would be where you'd hold the pick farther out on the end of your thumb, and you would angle the pick so it's this way, meaning that on a downstroke you're playing on the bridge side of the pick. Sean Lane passed away, unfortunately, one of the greatest players on the planet, had a tremendous right hand, and that's how he played, using the small jazz 3 picks. And there are a lot of other great jazz players that have played that way because you get a smooth sound. George Benson, one of the best tones on the planet, plays like that. Experiment with different gauge picks, meaning different thicknesses, and also the angle on the pick, what kind of point it has. Now, you can turn the pick and play on the rounded portion, and it gives you an even thicker sound. Less attack, bolder. Here it is on the point. Now, I don't know if that's coming across through the video because things get compressed for us to get the sound out, but when you practice at home, try playing not only at different angles, play different portions of the pick, and also different points along the length of the string. That's going to give you different sounds. Okay, so that's the right hand as far as just getting your sound. We talked earlier about putting staccato in your lines. Right hand staccato means you just put the pick back on the string. And when you're practicing, it's real important to stress both your down and your upstrokes. Gravity's on your side when you play a downstroke. It's easy for you to accent. But if you want an accent and an upstroke, you got to tense up a little bit. So when you practice scalar patterns, like if you do 16ths, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, the typical picking scheme would be down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. But don't forget to practice it in reverse. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Again, I go back to Sean Lane. He was a master at playing starting with an upstroke and putting a tremendous accent on it because it was just a rotation of the hand position. That balances out your right hand, and again, the wider you have a viewpoint, the more you're going to be able to do. You don't want to just look at things from a narrow viewpoint. You want to see a broad overview of what your options are. Okay, now there are a couple other little things. You got, for this rhythm playing, you got palm slap. Now there I'm just playing a blues shuffle. This is a blues lesson as far as how to get your sound for your lead work, but don't forget. So a palm slap means on a downstroke, you throw the little finger side of your palm in on the strings. If I don't do that, hear how it's not percussive. Work on your palm slap. Now there are some other things that you can do. We've talked about muting the strings with the left hand, how you would come in with the proper angle. I'm a big fan of muting whenever possible with the right hand. It actually is an offshoot of my slide playing. When I taught myself to play slide, it was a necessity to block strings. This is what I call an insurance policy. You can't always do it, but it's a great way to keep things tidy. I'll go through this, and I've talked about it at length with all my videos because that's an important issue. If you're playing a note on the first string and you don't want any noise from the other strings, you block it with the right hand, little fingers on the heel back here on the 6th, 5th string, and then immediately after you strike that string, be it a downstroke or an upstroke, you want to get fast at this, you would whip the pick in to an upstroke position against the next lowest string. In this case, it would be the 2nd string. You then relax your thumb joint and you angle so that you can't have the pick angled like that, because if you were bending a string, you might bend right into the pick. So keep the pick flat or at a very slight angle and incline it toward your face. And what happens is you have all the strings blocked. So a great exercise would be to practice this blocking posture. Pick the 1st string, then come back in, and then with your left hand, everything should be muffled except that 1st string. Then as you progress down, let's say you play on the 2nd string, everything just moves over a string, then you start coming in with the fingers of the right hand. It could be the middle finger or it could be the ring finger. Depends what you want to do. This way I have everything deadened except the 2nd string. If I want everything deadened except the 3rd string, I move over here. I'm blocking with the middle and ring finger. So I would go. Now there are times when I'll come in with my finger to stop a note if I'm going somewhere else. I can't really talk about that now. It's kind of detailed. But this frees you up. If I wanted to do that, I would leave a finger free. And then 4th string, you see you can block like this. If you're used to playing through tons of high gain, you've wondered how you clean up your playing, this is a great way to do that. Now remember, this would not be applicable in your Texas blues. Listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan, and obviously he's not doing any of this kind of stuff. I'm just showing you options. I'm not telling you what to play. I'm just showing you how you can play the different things. So those are some things with the right hand. Now in the next segment, I'm going to go back to this idea of generating ideas, of riffs, getting out of a rut. I call them rut busters. We're going to take a process where you develop mathematical combinations of notes.